All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland to industry leading brand. If you tuned in live, go ahead, put your flames in the chat. Also, let us know where you're listening in from. Of course, I have with me, as usual, Mr. Sean Raiz, and today we're going to get into the art and the science of coaching. Phenomenal morning, Sean. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm feeling phenomenal. Listen, guys, I apologize. I got to apologize to my people on LinkedIn. I had myself on mute. I was saying good morning. We got Sammy Thomas, we got Sammy on there, Solange, Carl G. Morris, and Kristen. Phenomenal morning, guys. We did a beautiful intro. We put the music up and everything for everybody, and I'm talking to them and I'm on mute. Right. So
Oh,
it's an early morning. It's an early morning. Tania, how are you doing? Phenomenal morning. I'm excited, Junior. I'm excited. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day at the brand. It's a beautiful day in business. Beautiful day to be alive. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal day, phenomenal opportunity for everybody. I hope you guys tune in, stay tuned in, stay locked in. We're about to have some fun. Talk to me now. Did you say we were talking about coaching today?
yes, we are. Yes, we are. So Tuesdays, guys. So Mondays branding. Tuesdays, we're gonna get into a little bit of coaching.
Good, good,
Um,
good,
yes,
good.
sir. But guys, as usual, this is 100% live. If you have any questions, wherever you're viewing this, whether it be IG, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, just go ahead put those in the comments, and we're definitely gonna get to them. Do want to say good morning again to everybody viewing. So Sean,
We
let's get into
also we
coaching.
also have Shade. We have Shade Rivera as well
Oh
on
shit.
LinkedIn.
Okay.
Go ahead. What was the question now? Let's talk about it.
We're actually just about to get into it. So shout out to Shade. Um, the first question would be, of course, we have to define the subject that we're talking about. So, what
Ah,
is coaching?
I love it. I love it. I was speaking to somebody last night about that actually. So coaching is a future focused, goal and action oriented process. Future focused, goal and action oriented process. Emphasis on action and emphasis on process. So people a lot of times think coaching is going to happen just by default because they have someone speaking to them and they're getting coaching, right? Getting coaching that they're going to be successful. That's not the case. That's never the case. You still have to do actions, right? So coaching helps you to elicit what's needed for you to move the needle from where you are to where you want to go. So whether you shout out to IG, shout out to Instagram, shout out to YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Listen, guys, you absolutely must, absolutely must, absolutely must take action. You can't just get coaching. And then it's a future focus, right? So my background is behaviorism, my background is psychology, and we had a retrogressive perspective in clinical.
Hmm.
So what do I mean by that? I mean a retrogressive perspective in clinical. So we would look back to what happened to an individual as opposed to looking forward at what could happen for a person.
Right.
And I found myself re traumatizing people. I found myself actually doing harm to people. And that's when I said, you know what? Let me look into something that's a little bit more forward facing, a little bit more aspirational, in, inspirational, and motivational as opposed to just informational. And this was about a decade ago, a little bit more than a decade ago. And this is when I started finding more and more about evidence-based coaching and more about how to help people move forward as opposed to reflecting and looking back. We have Janelle Pulley on IG as well. Shout out to you, phenomenal morning. Yes, sir. So that's what coaching is. Coaching is a future focused, goal and action oriented process. Emphasis on action and emphasis on process.
It's so important that you said that, especially the process part. So, guys, what the process part means is that it's not a magic pill.
Nope.
That's what it means. It's not a magic pill. Um, to me, just from my experience, it seems to be some sort of identity shift. Now, I want you to explain this, Sean, because you're the expert here. on this topic, right? It said that coaches don't really give the answers. So just like with that movie, remember that movie with Jackie Chan and I think it was Jaden Smith, the Kung Fu. Was it the Kung Fu Kid,
Yes,
guys? Put
yes,
him in
yes.
the chat. Where he says, "Wax on, wax
Wax
off."
on, wax off. That's a remake, actually.
It's a remake. Okay.
Ricardo, Phenomenal Morning. We got Ricardo Jackson as well on IG. Phenomenal Morning. Yeah, so that's the Karate Kid. That's the
Yeah.
Karate Kid. It's the second version of the Karate Kid, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
we have age differentials, right? So
Yeah.
the old one was a little bit different. We had it was beautiful though. It was beautiful. Danielson
That's right.
in the first one.
That's right. That's right. And that's a little like glimpse into the process. So guys, if you know the movie that I'm referring to, it's similar to that process where the mentor, the coach, doesn't really give the answer, does he? But
No, he
he
doesn't.
he facilitates the journey. So tell us a little bit about that. Number one, like why? Because I could imagine being a coachee and going through the same journey. And I've had people ask me this: why don't you just tell me the answer? So Sean, why don't coaches just tell people the answer? Like, what's the catch? What's the
Well,
reason for it?
sometimes, and this is a beautiful topic right here. Shout out to you, Ellie. I see you. Phenomenal Morning on IG. So let me give you. We got to unpack it, right? We got to unpack it. You want to know the difference between a coach and a consultant. A consultant knows the answer.
Hmm.
A coach doesn't have to know the answer. So I can coach an astronaut. I can coach someone who works in a hyperbaric chamber. I can coach someone who works in hydroelectricity. I can coach someone who works in federal government, aviation, law, aeronautics, a rocket scientist. I don't have to know the specifics of what they do in order to be able to coach them to a higher level of performance through strategic question and answer, strategic listening, active listening, strategic questions, honed in on awakening. So when you said like informed process, it's a process and it's a journey and it's a journey of awakening. It's a journey of becoming. It's a journey of growing. Now, as the coach, you don't have to be an expert in the field of the client. Most people have it mistaken. They want to grow their business and they say, I want to grow my business and I need the answers. I'm going to get a coach. Well, coach might not have the answers, depending on what kind of coach you get. Coach might not have the answers. Coach might be able to help you become more resourceful and read the right books or go deep inside yourself to unpack what your skill sets are, what your passions are, what your purpose is, what you'll feel most alive and most fulfilled doing. Right? So there's a fine line there between expectation and reality, misunderstanding and misdefinition of the actual word or what you're looking for. A consultant, now a consultant is different. A consultant is a specialist. They know what they're talking about. I can't consult someone who's a NASA astronaut on how to enhance their performance on the moon or with less oxygen. That's not my skill set. That's not my specialty. That's not my field of experience or expertise. So I would be unqualified in that space. However, to coach them, I'm overqualified.
Wow. I wanna get this quick question here. So Amy Woodson says, can this be accessed after the fact? Loving the content, but I have to move into another meeting.
Yes,
I
man.
believe it can, right? So you should be able to actually go on Sean's profile, right, Sean? And
Yes,
the recording
yes,
should be up
sir.
there.
Yes, ma'am. And yes, sir. Phenomenal morning, Amy. You will definitely be able to see this at a later time. It will be recorded and it will be accessible on my LinkedIn profile.
All right. Um, you said so much there, and I remember the $1 trillion coach. I remember learning a little bit about the $1 trillion coach. Guys, you should definitely get the book if you don't have it.
Bill Campbell.
Bill Campbell, yes. His background was his background actually in sports, Sean?
No, not at all.
What was his actual background?
IT. His background is IT.
Okay, okay, and he was able to. I always wonder like how was he able to transfer like that coaching skill to so many different people that all seem to be doing different things, and I found that absolutely fascinating. But once you explain it the way you did a while ago, it all makes sense. So it's more about the active listening and the strategic questioning.
Yes. And as a coach, you want to facilitate growth in the individual. So when you facilitate growth in the individual, you're not looking to be dependent upon if you do it the right way. Now, some don't. So let me give a little bit of background. My background is in evidence-based coaching, industrial and organizational psychology. So my take on coaching is going to be a lot different than what you're probably used to. I have a master's degree in evidence-based coaching. It's not qualitative, which means it's not feeling good. It's quantitative, which means it's driven by data and research. And it's a little bit different in that respect. I say that I didn't read a book, or I read all the books, but I didn't read the book or take the course. I wrote the books and created the courses. When it comes to, it's a different level of thought leadership, right? Welcome, Temperist, on LinkedIn. Welcome, Ellie, again. Ricardo, shout out to you. Janelle Pulley, shout out to you on IG. Kristen, Carl, Sammy, Shay Rivera on LinkedIn Voice. We have a nice amount of people on Facebook as well, YouTube. Wherever you're listening into right now, we're talking about branding in the context of coaching, or coaching in the context of branding. And we're talking about the differences between coaching. I spoke to counseling earlier and consulting. There's a big difference there, as well as therapy or a therapist.
100%. Sean, we're actually due for a break. So guys, when we do come back, more on coaching. If you have any questions, please save them for when we come back. We'll be back very soon.
All right, let's go. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him, and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
yourself a round of applause. Yes. All right. So I got a couple let me give a couple of insights. So number one, Ricardo Jackson says, this is on IG, coaching is about pushing individuals to identify the thing, puts things in thing in brackets, to identify the thing within them and that they can use to transform themselves from where they are. Yes, to a degree, Ricardo. Yes, to a degree. So the reason why I say to a degree is it depends on what the purpose of the coach is, right? So if you get a book coach, a writing coach, then the writing coach is going to help them to write the book and facilitate the writing of the book. If you get an athletic coach, a performance coach in sports, the performance coach in sports is going to, well, there's a phenomenal book too. Trevor, what's his name? Trevor Moawad wrote a book called Trevor Moawad.
It Takes What It Takes? Is
It takes what it takes. Thank you so much. Yes, it takes what it takes. So when you read this book by Trevor Moawad, he's a mental acuity coach and a mental performance coach. So, but he helps people in sports, right? So you want to clarify what kind of coach. So a business coach is going to coach you in business as it pertains to business, help you facilitate performance in business. A relationship coach is going to be a little bit different, right? So it depends on what kind of coach you're getting. When you're just talking about going to the next level, yes, then the coaching in that space would be about pushing an individual or pulling an individual, helping, facilitating an individual. Let me just say this, guys, when it comes to coaching, there is no cookie cutter. There is no cookie cutter. It is it should be tailored to the individual. It's not cookie cutter, and it should be tailored to the individual. And no two coachees or no two clients need the exact same thing. All right, so now Ricardo Jackson asks a question. He says, can I clarify between a mentor versus a coach? Definitely. So remember how I said a consultant was well-skilled and well-versed in a specific area? Well, it's the same thing with mentorship. Mentors, most times, so mentors come from organizational development. Again, I have to digress a little bit. I have a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology. That's the psychology and the motivation and performance of individuals within high-level organizations and teams. And then I have another master's degree in organizational development and change. So that's businesses, business building, and business growth in crisis. Okay. So when you ask about mentorship, I'm well-versed in that area and qualified to answer the question. If I wasn't, I'd say I don't know. However, mentor, the term mentor and the process of mentoring is a term of something that took place within succession planning within high-level organizations. So in high-level organizations, we identify someone. The individual might have been there for 5 years. And we see that they have a high level of performance. And we're thinking about how we can help them to develop as fast as they can because we see a future for them. It might take 5 years within the organization to qualify for mentorship. So let's say they're 35. Let's say they're 30. Let's say they're 35 and they've been with the organization for 5 years. And we see a huge future for them. And we might want them to actually open a wing in Japan, a wing of the organization in Japan. So what we're going to do is let's say this gentleman's name is Bob. We're going to tie Bob to John. John has been within the company for 30 years. So John knows all there is about growing the organization. He knows the culture. He knows work performance. He knows team development. And he might also know the language where we're talking about opening a department. So we're going to tie Bob to John so that he can see exactly how it's supposed to be done. And that's what a mentor does. A mentor, you shadow a mentor. You shadow a mentor. You almost intern with a mentor, and a mentor tells you from experience exactly what to do and how to do it. That's a mentor. Again, a coach facilitates your growth and development through strategic questions and active listening and intuition. A lot of coaches have the acute sensory perception, so they're able to feel things that you might not even say, or intuit the thought before you say it, because sometimes you don't know the question to ask. And a coach will be able to say, okay, they're trying to get here, but they don't know how to move from where they are. And that's where a coach will come in and kind of help you to guide and facilitate that growth process. Whereas a mentor will say, just watch what I do, follow me. This is how it's done.
Sean, when it comes to pushing individuals, so Ricardo has a great question, right? I've always wondered how much pushing do we do, right? Like, let's talk about the coach and the coachee relationship as far as it relates to pushing. Like, you have to push people, like you said, to some extent, right? Like, the coachee has to do their part for the relationship to work. So let's talk about like that. Let's talk about that piece.
I love it. I love the question. Let me help you out real quick, right? Because it's individual centric. I am an executive coach. I say this all the time. I say I'm not a motivational speaker, but you might be motivated. I'm not an inspirational speaker, but you might be inspired. I am a transformational speaker you can't listen too long without being changed and transformed. As an executive coach, my job is not to push you. As an executive coach, my job is not to push you. As an executive coach, if you sign up with me, you already know what to expect. I am going to give you very high-level insights, and it's your job to act on them. It is not my job to call you in the middle of the day and say, hey, are you doing your homework? Hey, how do you feel? What's the emotional state that you're going through? Like, that's not my thing. As an executive coach, you have a high level of education, you have a high level of experience, you have a high level of expertise, and you want a desired outcome. I want you to think about this, because everybody has, there's a thing going on where everybody has a coach. But then a lot of times when I work with people, they'll tell me that they had 5 coaches and they didn't get any results. And I say, well, what happened and why not? They say the coach didn't do this for me. The coach didn't do that for me. And it's like, hold on now. Very abrasive and very aggressive. A lot of complaints here. The coach that you have is not supposed to really do the work for you, because you have to do the work. And it's not the coach's job to push you. Some may choose to. Some may use more of an athletic approach and a pep talk kind of rally cry to drive motivations and inspiration and get you fired up. However, what I have learned in my years of coaching is that if I have to fire you up, then when you go out to attack whatever it is that you're attacking and that energy dissipates, you're going to be left alone. And if you can't come back to me immediately to get the recharge, what are you going to do? Right? So you don't want to be dependent, and coaching is not supposed to foster a culture of dependency. Let me say that one more time. Coaching is not supposed to foster a culture of dependency. A coach is supposed to, I like what Ricardo said, because he said, find the thing within them. So as an executive coach, I am a high proponent of intrinsic motivation. And that's motivation that comes from within, and executive performance, which is a performance level that comes from within, not from outside. A lot of people want a coach to fix them, but there's nothing broken. Right. And the coach is supposed to kind of guide and facilitate your turns or your introspective analysis of yourself. It's self-awareness. So there's correlations between branding and leadership development: self-awareness, self-regulation, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. Those are the 4 keys, guys. Like, hear me clearly. Whether you're on LinkedIn, Voice, IG, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, building your business, working in your marriage, getting out of debt, working on your credit, working in real estate, working as a coach, working as an influencer, working as a speaker, as a consultant, it makes no difference. Self-awareness, self-regulation, keyword being self. Keyword being self-awareness, self-regulation, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. The deepest thing that a coach can do is help you think about the things that you think about.
You know, I was going to ask you, when does a coach become a crutch? Based on what you just said, because that's something that and you know, I think this is very important because I think a lot of clients expect crutches when they sign up for coaches.
Yeah.
So at what point does a coach become a crutch?
A coach becomes a crutch when they take responsibility for your outcome. A coach becomes a crutch when they take responsibility for your outcome. So I will never take responsibility for a client's outcome. What I will do is I'll perform at an extremely high level myself, and they can see the example through me. However, my standing ovation doesn't make you any money. I'm a speaker. I speak. So when I speak, I crush it. I lift it. I have a phenomenal experience. It's elevating and enlightening and expanding. However, if I'm working with Ricardo Jackson and Ricardo Jackson wants to be a speaker, and I'm telling him you have to, you want to be able to wrap your origin brand story. You want to find out what took place, what salient points took place in your life between 0 and 7 and 7 and 14 and 14 and 21. And you want to take those salient principles and you want to wrap those around the service that you provide. Me telling him that will hopefully help him to do an appreciative inquiry within what he's been through and pull out those points. If he doesn't pull out the points, he will not have success as a speaker. That's all on him. Me going to Florida and getting paid $20K to go, all expenses paid to get there, totaling about $30K, and then closing $50K from the stage is not going to put anything in Ricardo's bank account. It's not going to help him at all. So I don't take responsibility for an individual's outcome. That's not my job. My job is to give you the tools and the resources and tell you where to look within yourself to pull out of yourself the resources that you need, and then tell you about the market and what to expect and how to perform at a high level. If you choose not to. So again, it goes back to the forward-facing and the retrogressive perspective. Right? I'm going to show you how it goes back to the origin of why I started coaching in the first place. Forward focused, goal and action oriented process, and then retrogressive perspective. A lot of us come to what we think is business with trauma. And we say, I want to be successful as a business owner. But we're too wrapped up and caught up in the fact that our father left at 14. So our father left at 14 for whatever reason. When we was 4, daddy left. And instead of building our business, or instead of spending our hours concentrated on how to build our business, we're concentrated on how daddy left when we was 14. And we want someone to help us process that and work through that. Now, luckily, I do have a clinical background. However, I do not perform in the capacity of a counselor anymore. By choice. That's not my choice. So when someone comes to me and they have all of those emotional trauma barriers and weights and anchors holding them down, I give them a referral. I don't go into a counseling session. I don't do a biopsychosocial. I don't ask what happened to you at 5. That's not what I do. That's not the capacity in which I serve. And what happens is a lot of people who call themselves coaches haven't clarified roles. So they think they know what to do in a place they've not had success, and they try to consult there. They hear a podcast like this and they try to ask introspective questions to get to the bottom of something. But then when the person says, when I was 5, this happened to me, they turn around and try to become a counselor and say, cry on my shoulder and tell me more about what happened when you were 4. And that's when you're playing with danger. And this is why psychologists and clinicians need to be certified, and they need to be qualified. And you don't get qualified in counseling by taking a 90-day workshop or a 3-day seminar where you get certified in coaching, which I might not agree with either, but let's just say, because this is how, the coaching is an unregulated field. However, when you get a coaching certification, that doesn't qualify you to be a clinician. It doesn't qualify you to do therapy. And it also doesn't make you a specialist in a place where you've never had success. So when it comes to working with coaches, you want to really know who you're working with. You want to be real clear on what you want and real clear on doing the research on who you're working with. A person, to answer your question, I know I went all around the block with that, but I wanted to give a thorough answer. To answer your question specifically, a coach becomes a crutch or a coach becomes a couch when they begin to counsel in a space they don't have the education, experience, or expertise, and they begin to take on responsibility for the client's outcomes.
Sir. All right, guys, we are due for a break. We'll be back very soon. Let's go.
I'm just a kid from Harlem who God chose to show his favor. Themselves while improving the lives of others. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, guys, we are back. Guys, again, if you have any questions, go ahead, put them in the chat. Sean, how are we looking on IG? Any questions on IG?
No questions on IG right now. I think I kind of over-delivered. I think everybody's phenomenal. I see a lot of claps. Okay. Esther Rosa sends the love. Paniotis sends the love. Chatka sends the love. I am she who dared has joined. We're good. We're good. Everybody's good right now.
All right, nice. Okay, shout out to Yvette. And I see we have some people on Facebook. I think that might be Coach B. So shout out to Coach B. So Coach B says,
yeah, that's Coach B. We want to get that. We want to get that right so everybody can see your name, see your brand.
Yeah. So it says coach is not counseling.
Nope. Two different things completely. Two different skill sets. They're a related field in that they enhance performance. But there's also conflict resolution. And sometimes when you have these different hats, you can go back and forth. So I am qualified to counsel, but I choose not to. Phenomenal morning. So I am she who dared says great morning, great morning. So I am qualified. And sometimes that might help the relationship, right? Because coaching is huge on rapport building, huge on trust, huge on real care and consideration. And my background in clinical psychology and counseling probably gives me white gloves in that area. I've counseled for years. I've helped people with mental health issues for years. So I have a lot more length, width, depth, and breadth when it comes to dealing with those situations. However, I know when it's not easily resolved, and I know when it's a mental health issue. And there's a very, very fine line there. And when there's a mental health issue, I haven't been in practice for years, right? I know how to diagnose with the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual, DSM-5 now, but I haven't kept up with that. That's not my thing. So I refer out, and I immediately, because the APA, the main thing of the APA, and this is the American Psychological Association, and it does not bear on coaching, but it should. So one thing that I do is I bring ethics from those deep clinical spaces over into what I do as a coach. And that's why I think that coaches should have a high level of ethical background in education and certification. They should have, because if you don't have it, then you don't know it. And if you don't know it, depending on where you learn coaching, you're going to be ill-equipped to deal with certain presenting symptoms. You won't even recognize them for what they are, and you won't know when a client really doesn't need coaching, but really needs counseling or therapy or medication, or are not a good fit, or can't pay for your services. There's a lot in that ethical space where if they're not a good fit, they're not a good fit, and you refer them to someone else because there's a conflict there. There's a lot in the coaching, counseling, consulting space that sometimes can spill over.
100%. Now, just for the people who just sort of tuned in, I want to go back to the difference. Not really the difference, but just knowing how to recognize what you need. So persons want to build their businesses. Do they need coaching or do they need consulting? So people come to me, they say, well, I'm looking to generate more leads, or I'm looking to attract the right client, that type of thing. Do these people need coaching or do they need consulting?
They would rather search out coaching if they want to learn how to do it. If they want a quick fix that makes it attainable but not sustainable, then they need a consultant. A consultant can come give you a quick fix and you'll get leads, but next month you won't. And you'll have to go back and go back and go back and go back and go back. Through coaching, you'll find out how to do it yourself. It's a process of self-discovery as well as process discovery. But you want to make sure now and I love the fact that you asked the question the way you asked it, because if you're looking to generate leads and you're looking in the field of coaching, you don't want to choose a coach that doesn't have leads, for God's sakes. You don't want to choose a coach that doesn't have results. You don't want to choose a coach that hasn't been able to prove theory, crack atoms, right? Or make it rain in that space. You can't learn how to make it rain from a person that's not a rainmaker, is what I'm saying. Coach, consultant, therapist, or otherwise.
100%. Shout out to Brendan Taylor. So Brendan says, good morning, let's go.
Phenomenal.
We have Yvette says, yes, thank you for your time, help, and service.
You're very welcome. And I am she who did says it makes perfect sense. I'm glad that it does.
All right. So, yeah, I just wanted to ask that because, a lot of the times it could be so, and even as a coach, sometimes you become a consultant, like in the process, right? Especially if you're somebody who has results. I don't really see how it's possible to coach somebody, like based on the definition that you gave. If I don't have those results, how do I coach somebody else to get the results that I don't have? Because coaching assumes that they have the answer, right? The coachee has the answer, right?
No. Consulting assumes that the person has the answer, and you would be correct in that assumption. As a coach, now it gets very murky here. As a coach can help you to do a process of self-discovery, which can help you to become more successful in whatever field that you're in. However, you're more likely to get quicker results, working with the coach who has experience in that space. So you want to make sure when you're working with the coach, let's just say a business coach, a growth coach, right? You want to work with you want to make $1 million. Let's say you want to make $1 million. You don't look for a coach that hasn't made $1 million plus. You don't want to work with a coach who just made $1 million by the skin of his neck, and you don't want to work with a coach that is at $500,000 because they don't know how to get to $1 million themselves. And if they did, they would. So they probably can't help you in that space. They might be able to help you look deeper into yourself. But if you're looking for results, then you want to work with a coach who has results. But let me say this too with that, because there's a grain of salt with that. The grain of salt is this. I'm going to give it's going to be a little bit of a grim example, but it's a real one. So someone breaks their leg. Someone in your family breaks their leg. They come to the hospital. They have to get their leg set. Does the doctor have to have had a broken leg to fix your loved one's broken leg? No. So now it depends on if they're qualified to help you. They don't have to have gone through the same experience if that's not their thing, but can they help you to do it? For instance, I am working with dissertation specialists on my dissertation. They have results in the dissertation space. They have results. They have PhDs. They have MDs. However, I am matriculating my conceptual knowledge and constructional knowledge from education into business. And I'm consulting with them for the highest level of education crossover. Can they coach me on how to be more effective in business when they don't have the business success? As a scholar and a theorist, yes, they can, because they have the range of education where their input is valuable. Can they say they made $1 million? No. But have I made $1 million? Yes. And have I done it with the input of massive amounts of scholars and practitioners and business strategists that were not actually practicing in business? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. So I know it's a lot. Guys, but I want you to follow. I want you to follow this, right? And I love what's stated here. It says your client has the answer in coaching. The coach helps them to discover their answer. I don't know if that's Coach B. Whoever that is, put your name in there, right? So we can give you credit for that. The Facebook user says your client has the answer in coaching. The coach helps them to discover their answer. I love that. Even if the client doesn't know the answer, the coach can refer them to where to find it. I just said while we was on the break, I just said to everybody on IG and on LinkedIn voice, I said, ask any questions that you have, guys. If you I don't have the answer, I'll find it. So sometimes you don't have the answer within you because you've never come up against that situation. So the answer might not be in you. However, you can go find it. And that's very important. Okay, so yeah, that is Coach B. So I love that the coach has the answer in coaching. The coach helps them to discover their answer. Your client has the answer in coaching. I would say that for the most part, that is possible. But the coach does help them to discover their answer. I agree with that 1000%, because you might not have the answer. If you did, then you might be using it. You might be actually executing on it. You might need, like I said, coaching is facilitating. You might need someone to guide or facilitate you in finding the resources so that you can learn the answer. And that's another thing about empowerment. That's another thing about empowerment and consulting, because if I give you the answers as the coach, if I just give you the answer, then I'm disempowering you. I'm giving you a fish and feeding you for a day or feeding you for as long as you can pay me. But when you're done, you haven't done anything of your own volition. So now you might be weaker if after working with me, if all I do is give you the answer, because I haven't helped you to build the muscle of resiliency or self-discovery or exploration, which is very important in the coaching process.
All right, guys, we are due for our final break. So when we come back, more on coaching. If you have any questions, please hold them for after the break. We'll be back very soon.
Let's go.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
I don't talk theory, I don't talk hyperbole, I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Raiz. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
All right. Let's get to it.
Yes, sir. All right, let's talk about coaching like a leader, and a little bit about what we actually did there in that program. So for those who don't know what coaching like a leader is, Sean, can you walk us through that? What exactly is coaching like a leader?
Certainly. So coaching like a leader is the program where I helped clients to truly find out what evidence-based coaching was and then certified them as evidence-based coaches. So a client asked me at the end of Branded Like a Leader, where do I go to get the certification? And I really thought about it for a moment because my plan was to do Branded Like a Leader again. And they said, where do we go get the coaching certification now, Sean? And it was like off the cuff, and it was a curveball. And the curveball hit me in the stomach, right? Because I thought about ethics. I thought about leadership. I thought about process. I thought about all of the years that I had studied coaching, all of the years that I studied behaviorism and psychology and motivation and performance. And I said, I can't say go here where you're going to study for 6 months. You have to understand something. I've worked with clients who have had certifications in coaching for 20 years and didn't know what to do with them. And they were certified by the highest governing bodies in coaching. I won't mention the names, but they were certified by the highest governing bodies in coaching. And they didn't have one client, and they never got one client, and they never made $1. And after working with me for 90 days, they started making $10,000 a month and grew from there. And I did not ethically feel comfortable saying, go here, or go here. Because number one, if I sent them back to college for 6 years, 7, 8 years to get the qualifications that I had, that would be heavy. But I didn't only go to college. I also went to college, and I went to non-formal while I was studying formal. So it would be a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of experience because I was active in the field, working with professionals in Fortune 500 companies and in government. So there's a lot that goes into the skill set that I bring. So I knew we had just gone through Branded Like a Leader, and they enjoyed the process, and they said to themselves, how can I go get what Sean knows? And I said, it doesn't really exist too much in and of itself or in any one program. So give me 2 months. I said, give me 2 months and I'll put something together. So in those 2 months, in 1 month of preparation and then 2 months of execution, I put together a curriculum that would comprise all of it. So it comprises evidence-based coaching with the background in psychology, the background in clinical and the difference, as well as marketing and how to actually monetize the skill of coaching. That's what Coaching Like a Leader is. It's an 8-week program that teaches you not only how to coach, but how to be a coach ethically, how to be a coach effectively, and how to monetize and own your own business at the same time while not doing harm and actually helping actually facilitating transformation.
Right. One point I do want to stress here is, like, you could know how to coach guys, but if you don't know how to build a coaching business, then you're not gonna make money. That's the difference.
You
It's the
have a
difference between being a coach and building a coaching business. There's a difference, and that's what Coaching Like a Leader does. It actually helps you to build a coaching business as well as get the coaching competency, and that's what I think really separates it from everything else on the market. Sean, it's for people who want to learn more about this program. Do you have a link? Is there something we could put up?
Yeah, if you got any questions about that, come here. Come to the call. So I put up a link, guys, livedeepdive.com. Come to the livedeepdive.com this Saturday. You can ask any questions that you want, and we'll just wax a little bit deep on that. It's perfectly fine. Again, that is www.livedeepdive.com.
All right. All right. So we're getting ready to wrap up. Anything that you would say to people who want to get into coaching, like people who maybe they're thinking about it, maybe they're not sure if coaching is for them. What would you advise them? Like, how do you know if coaching is for you?
Coaching is for everybody. I like what John Maxwell says about leadership. He says that you're already a leader. He says you're a leader. You have influence. You have sway. You have influence and you have sway. If you have a daughter, if you have a child, you're a leader. If you have a parent, you're a leader, because you have to give sometimes the same way you were given unto, especially as an adult. You have to give back and caretake for those who took care of us. As a spouse, you're a leader. In a community, you're a leader. You might be an absentee leader, but you still have leadership capability and leadership responsibility. Everyone should be a leader. As a coach, it's the same thing. If someone asks you for advice, a child, a mother, a friend, you can give them the advice, or you can help them transform through the answer. That's coaching. Coaching is qualitative. It enriches all conversations. It enriches all transactions of intellectual capital. Every time you have a conversation, you have the ability to impact positively. You have the ability to facilitate growth. You have the ability to facilitate transformation. I tell people that coaching is one of the penchants of effective business building. If you want to build a phenomenal business, but you don't have the skill of coaching, you're not going to be very effective. Coaching is the new language of leadership. As a boss, you can give somebody a directive and tell them what they better do, or you can have a coaching conversation, ask questions, and help the employee to elicit the answer within themselves so that it's sustainable and it's not done out of fear, it's done out of fascination. And it's done out of fervor and tenacity to be a better performer, a better human being, a better son, a better daughter, a better husband, a better brother. And you'll see when you employ this that it raises all ships. It raises all tides. Coaching is the difference between businesses that are successful and businesses that fail.
100%. All right, guys. So this has been absolutely amazing. Sean, any final comments? Guys, again, if you want to connect with us, use the link below, www.livedeepdive.com, Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will also be talking about branding, just so you know. So how to take your expertise and turn it into a profitable brand. We'll be talking about that this weekend. You don't want to miss it. LiveDeepDive.com.
Communication. Communication is coaching. Effective coaching is communication. So watch this. People want money, but they don't want to learn how to coach. People say, I want to get more sales. If you want to make more sales, learn how to coach. People say, I don't have a team. You want to build a team, learn how to coach. People say, my business isn't working. You want your business to work, learn how to coach. People say, my relationship isn't working. You want your relationship to work, learn how to coach. So my kids don't listen to me. You want your children to listen to you, learn how to coach. If you do things that you know you shouldn't do and you don't know why you do them, learn how to coach. Coaching is the new language of leadership. It is effective communication. And if you do not have this tool in your toolbox, you will be found at situations where you have to perform at a high level. You have to get something done, but you don't have the resources to. So coaching it gives you the right tool for the right situation at the right time. Again, that's leadership. That's livedeepdive.com. This Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Let's grow.